Hi, good morning. Good morning. My name is Keith Warburg. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at StageClip, and we are excited to present to you this morning on our re-engaging alumni and collecting new contact data with personalized video. I'm joined this morning by Mark Andrew, our Chief Operating Officer and co-founder. Mark, good morning.
Afternoon, everybody. Nice to have the opportunity to present to you.
Excellent. So thank you again for joining. We're going to be joining this morning to discuss our case study that we recently completed with the University of St. Andrews in Scotland for our new product called Heritage Clips. And so we're excited to get started on that this morning. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let me begin our slideshow. Excellent. So we'll get this going. So you can see here our contents for today's slideshow will be a quick overview of our case study. We'll be doing a quick review of our goals and planning as we worked with St. Andrews to reach out to their alumni and gather new contact data. I will speak to the execution of the campaign and go over our results that we were achieved. We'll go through some alumni feedback from the campaign, which was very interesting, unexpected, and very helpful as we continue to expand that program. And then we'll discuss application and recommendations for the campaign moving forward. So just a little bit about StageClip. StageClip, we were founded in 2017. We are committed to enabling graduates and their loved ones to share life's big moments. That's our theme, through personalized video experiences, primarily college graduations, but also recognition events and award ceremonies. Our clips have enabled alumni teams, corporate event planners, and individual degree programs to engage their graduates and attendees by focusing on individual participants. So taking any sort of mass event, mass recognition event, whether that's a graduation, an award ceremony, anything like that, and being able to take the focus from the crowd and the long event and put it solely on the individual experience for each of those graduates and participants and give them that moment and the spotlight that they can share with their friends and family. So again, we introduced ourselves, we'll move along. So a quick overview of our case study. I'm gonna pass this off to Mark to give us kind of a quick overview, if you don't mind, Mark.
I think we have quite a lot of people on who we already work with in our live environment, whereby we create clips of students crossing the stage, shaking hands, and it's in a university branded clip that they can receive very shortly after the ceremony is finished, and then post on social media. What we had this time was essentially a concept where we use the same technologies we do normally, creating clips of people walking across stage, but this time taking the old footage from the archives of St. Andrews University. They go back to something like 1990. I think they've got films in VHS format. And then we take those and we essentially do the same procedure of taking out the individuals that are crossing the stage from that footage, and then enabling their old alumni from those cohorts to be able to receive their clips and share on social media. Just in terms of what St. Andrews wants to do, their primary objective, and we'll go to this in a little bit more detail, was to re-engage with potentially dormant alumni, but also to update contact details of alumni that they already had on their books from two cohorts, one from 1991 and then the other one from 1996. And those happen to be, chosen for the reasons that it was their 25th anniversary of leaving and their 30th anniversary of leaving. The results were very, very compelling, which sort of surprised us all, in that, and that's on the bottom right hand of this slide, 20% of the alumni from those cohorts got in touch to update their contact details with the university or re-engage, which was an amazing result that surprised everybody. Keith, have I covered the sort of overview of that? I just wonder whether we want to show a clip.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say welcome to everyone in the chat. We've got a number of folks from across Europe and the UK. If you have any questions throughout the session, if you could put those in the Q&A and we'll be sure to answer those. And if you have worked with StageClip in the past, I know we have a number of our friends in the chat and who are joining today, please let us know in the chat. We'll be happy to say hello and catch up. So Mark did give us a quick overview of our goals and planning. And Mark, I don't know if you want to add on to this, but Mark did not mention that he is an alum of University of St. Andrews. So that's a very exciting moment for him to be able to contribute as well.
Yeah, so I'll go into a little bit more detail following the first slide. So for background, in terms of timing, St. Andrews approached us in spring of this year with the concept of creating what we call heritage clips for those 2 year groups that I mentioned from the 25th anniversary and the 30th anniversary. So we worked with a chap called David Williams, who I think is very well known in the alumni sort of arena, and has worked in alumni development for most of his career. As Keith said, by coincidence, I'm an old alumni from St. Andrews, but in the middle of those 2 cohorts, not either one of them. So I'm still waiting for my clip to arrive. But fundamentally, if you were to ask, anybody that's been at university and had left a number of years ago, and never had a clip of them crossing stage, or certainly in the old days when you go back to sort of 20 years ago plus, there were no such things as digital clips. If you asked students now that left, an old alumni, if they wanted a clip of them walking across stage from 25 years ago, I would say over 90% of people would want that, and the uptake that happened on this campaign was very significant. As I said, the university wants to fundamentally re-engage with old alumni in a very compelling way and open up the dialogue with both dormant alumni, so people they hadn't been in contact with, and also update contacts and details from those that they are already in contact with, to essentially broaden and enable deeper communications with them going forward. The 3 goals were around integrating this campaign into their broader alumni strategies. The second one was to update as much contact information and get it as up to date as possible, and also to reignite the relationship between the student and the university. Fundamentally, and I think a lot of people who work in the alumni departments at universities will realize that if you don't have the right information and the right contact detail for students, then you can't do anything beyond that, such as funding, foundation funds, donations. Other side sort of benefits are around networking between undergraduates and alumni, inviting alumni back to speak or to lecture, and then you've got all the marketing benefits off the back of this as well. And then you've also got the softer emotional connection that's maintained between the university and the alumni. What we didn't realize, as mentioned, is the results that were achieved, and Keith will go into that in a little bit more detail shortly. This product differs slightly from what we do traditionally. So we work with about 40% of the universities in the UK already, providing traditional clips of the current graduation cohorts going across stage, so that they receive a university branded clip shortly after the ceremony to share on social media. The difference here, well, on the traditional model, all the contact details are up to date, so you have 100% of students wanting their clip and going and getting their clip. Obviously, with heritage clips, you don't have all current information, so in order to achieve a high uptake, it has to be combined with having a base level of contact information from your old alumni from the cohorts you're creating heritage clips for, but also you need to combine that with a marketing campaign that goes alongside this. So we, as part of the planning, that was a core part of what we did. In terms of making it happen, there are four elements again, which Keith will go into shortly. One was around the logistics of timing and the selection of the cohort that we were going to create heritage clips for. The second piece was around assets to sort of make the clip. And then there was the production of the clips, which was done on our side, obviously, and then the comms and marketing, which I've already mentioned. And there was a combination of things here that happened. One was communicating to the alumni up front that if they knew friends that didn't get them, to get in touch with the alumni department to receive their clips. And actually, one of the things that strangely happened was David Williams, who ran this campaign at St Andrews, said, "No, thank you to Mark Andrew, one of the directors of StageClip, for making this happen." And then my phone started to go off, where I've had old friends of mine from university I haven't been in touch with for years saying, "Oh, I didn't realize you had done this. You know, I wonder if how do I get my clip?" So it's like alumni@standrews.com was the route. So that was quite a nice thing for me, certainly, to receive lots of calls from people that I haven't been in touch with for a long time. David described this campaign as one of the top 3 alumni programs he's ever been involved in, and certainly the best off-the-shelf program that he's ever done. It's got everything, advocating high impact engagement, it's unique, and it's got amazing metrics. So that was one of his summary comments again that he posted. So I'll hand over to Keith to go through the execution of how it was all put together.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. So one of the goals really that St. Andrews brought to us is they wanted this to be fun and to be really engaging. So from a marketing communication standpoint, what we decided to do was to really live up the VHS 80s style graphics and sort of the cheesy synthesizer music. And so they incorporated that full tilt into the clips and had a great time with it. So we were able to kind of first sit down and identify what we needed to make the project work. Anytime that we generate stage clips for current ceremonies or now for heritage clips, it's a very simple process in terms of assets. Essentially, we need a verified list of graduates so that we know who is going to be walking across the stage in the video. We need the video itself in order to clip up and to put into individual clips. In this case, most cases, it's just a copy of the live stream or a download of the recording from the current ceremony. In this case, we had to go back a bit, as Mark mentioned, to find the VHS videos. And so St. Andrews was able to locate those. Their archives office had already digitized those, and so we were able to provide those pretty easily. It's something, a resource a lot of schools have. They were also able to go through and find digitized versions of their original souvenir commencement programs so that they could compare the names that they had on the list with the names of the programs to confirm that that was the correct ceremony. And then from there, they had fun selecting the music and the graphics and the branding to go along with that. And that's typically the process that we have for the schools that we work with. It's a relatively easy lift on the school side in terms of just providing your colors, your branding, your logo, a list of students that you're typically already providing from your registrar or registry department, and then a copy of the video, which usually is either in the archives or it's being produced on campus by your office or by an affiliate. And so that's when StageClip actually takes over. So we stepped in for the production and the development component. So we generated a bespoke clip template, customized for St. Andrews. We're able to put that together with some video that they had of the campus from the time to add in some shots of sort of the wider campus and the area around St. Andrews. To make it have a little bit of an intro. And we also kind of worked with some of the editing and sort of the motion in there to make it feel almost like an early 90s sort of sitcom feel that matched the music and the feel that went along with that. We were able to improve the quality of that video and audio. So we were able to kind of clean it up a little bit. It was 25 and 30 years old. So we were able to take the digitized version of that, sharpen it up and make it look really presentable for a new HD 4K sort of environment that we were working in towards. And then we also helped clean up the audio a little bit as well to make sure that it was very clear and that as each graduate got their clip, they could clearly hear their name being read, even though it was very long ago. And then finally, we generated all of the graphics, the names, and additional footage to put all of that together to make sure that as each graduate walked the stage in their clip, their name was presented clearly on brand with the university's branding, and it was accurate, right? We want to make sure they're getting the right clip. We want to make sure Mark's not getting Sally's clips and vice versa as we go through. And all of that is part of StageClip's patented processes that we use for all of our ceremonies. And it's something that we have very, very high confidence in from an AI and hands-on perspective. And then most importantly, the contact and communications. The whole point of this campaign was to update contact information for alumni who were out of touch. So maybe they had changed jobs, changed addresses, changed email addresses, phone numbers, and so they weren't able to be reached with the current information that the university had. This is an issue that most alumni departments face in my experience, having worked in that area. You spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to track down alumni and re-engage them with the university. So we tried a couple different approaches and all were fairly successful. So we started with emailing the congratulatory note, helping them to celebrate their 25th anniversary, their 30th anniversary, and saying, to help celebrate this, we're going to provide you with this clip of your moment on stage from 25 or 30 years ago, and had a link to go and to view and to download their clip. We also generated pearls, so personalized URLs. So each graduate had their own landing page with their clip on it, where they could share from that page, they could download from that page, and they could, just share that link for updates and resources. That was also fully branded with St. Andrews as well. So it was a living page there for the graduates. And then for graduates who didn't have up-to-date email addresses, but maybe had mailing addresses on file, they produced a print piece to send out to the graduates, letting them know that their clip was available and how to reach out to the Alumni Association to get a copy of that. And to Mark's point, that was not just giving them a link, it was actually encouraging them to reach out to the Alumni Association. So they had that opportunity to engage with them, to get their updated contact information, and then to email them out the clip. So it was just another touch point to get that data updated.
Keith, those couple of questions, I think at this point, and also Nick was saying, can you just move your thing away from your face a little bit?
Yes.
One of them was just around possibly showing a clip now, just to show what one looks like. That might be a good opportunity to do that now.
We do, right here on the next slide. Perfect timing.
Okay.
Yeah, good segue. So you can see here in the execution, this is the link, or this is the post that St. Andrews put on LinkedIn to announce the campaign. So in addition to the one-to-one communication, they also posted it out on their social networks to encourage students or graduates who had no contact information with the university, but who may be following or have friends who followed the university to share and to see and to engage. So you can see that they announced, to commemorate 25 years of 96, we created a pilot program. They described it. And then you can see also if you're not part of it, or if you're part of it and you didn't receive a clip, here's how you can do that. And then also if you're not in the classes of 96 or 91, we're reviewing this and we're considering doing it forward. So they were actually requesting feedback. If you're interested to continue this with your class year, 92 and 97 for the next year, for example, let us know. And so that was giving them actually even some more market research and alumni engagement feedback, sort of a survey built into that. They included a link to go ahead and update your details. So a direct ask to update your contact information. And then they put out a thank you for the student, Michael Cunningham, who actually allowed them to use his clip as a sample. You can see St. Andrews has about 82,000 followers on LinkedIn. The total reach of this clip, I'll jump ahead just a little bit. Total reach was 11,762 on LinkedIn alone. That's 14% of their followers that were reached organically, which is a great number when you think about how challenging it can be to do organic reach on any of our platforms nowadays. So they're very pleased with that. And I will gladly show you a sample. And hopefully, let's see, I'm going to make sure that as I do my screen share here, that you can hear my audio. So we're going to do that. Share sound. Cool. Here we go. Is it coming through?
Yep.
Michael Cunningham.
Super 2.
You see each graduate gets their moment in real time, and then it replays back in slow motion so they can see it once more. The date of the ceremony there in the lower third, along with his name and the university's logo, and then their message at the end. So each of these clips lasted about 50 seconds. So very short, very digestible, high engagement, because they're not expecting a graduate to sit and watch 2 or 3 minutes of a video. They're getting a short clip with their moment, which is what we typically see produces high engagement. So the results that we saw overall, we've talked a lot about these metrics here. Overall, they generated 1,800 clips, 1,813, for those graduates of 91 and 96. Of those 1,800 that were generated, they had about 37% participation. So these are graduates who came and viewed their clips out of that group. That is for this pilot, actually above sort of the benchmark that we were looking for. What we were most looking forward to was that updated contact information. And of the students that were reached, of the graduates that were reached, actually 20% of them updated their contact information, which is outstanding. That's a great metric. That's a great opportunity to go out there and get that information for those students, those former students and graduates. Overall, they had 1,400 total shares of clips on social media channels. A large portion of that was on WhatsApp, and that's actually one of the things that David Williams, as Mark mentioned, the coordinator at St. Andrews, was pleased with, was that WhatsApp friendship groups, so alumni who were still connected and were talking through WhatsApp, was actually primarily one of their ways that it was sort of spread by word of mouth to say, hey, I got my clip, did you get one? And here's how you go and get that. Actually, over half of the social media shares took place on WhatsApp, which was a great piece of their strategy that they were already working through at St. Andrews. Total views of the clips from the platform that we were able to track was about 4,000 total views of clips. And again, as the students or the graduates downloaded their clips and shared them on their platforms, it's harder for us to track their individual shares. But again, we did see the reach alone on the LinkedIn post for St. Andrews approaching 12,000. And we did see a total of about 800 clips that were downloaded and shared out.
There's one question here that's a popular one, Keith. It might be worth just answering now. So with the content of graduates from so long ago, did you have any problems with collecting consent? So the university, the footage and the data is the intellectual capital of the universities. They would only distribute, obviously, clips to those that they'd already got consent from, but then they also had a lot of people come in and reconnect with the university, giving their consent to be able to give the footage. Those that are sharing their clips, it's the individual that's sharing the clips, not the university. So by sharing it, it's the individual's choice to do that, and then that resulted in more people coming back to the university, giving consent, giving their details, and getting their clips. So hopefully that answers that question. There was I think that's important to note, and that's something that we follow with all of our clip procedures. So we have very polished and reviewed privacy data and policies for all of our clips. And that was a big piece of this. You saw even in their post to LinkedIn, they did indicate that they had gotten permission from Michael Cunningham. Each student that downloaded, or each graduate that downloaded their clip, could only receive their clip. And so again, to Mark's point, that was providing that permission to go out and do that. And if they wanted to share that, it was their clip and their intellectual property that they could do at that time. The university didn't share graduates at large. And just the other aspect of GDPR, so we're a GDPR compliant organization, but obviously there's a data processing agreement between us as the data processor and the university as the data controller, so that's in place before any of this happens.
Excellent. I see a couple of other questions we can go ahead and grab. So 1800 being the whole cohort, that is for 91 and 96. So that's the campaign in total. Alternative for recent online ceremonies, that is something that we are exploring again with St. Andrews and with other schools. We can at any point with our current StageClip platform. So if you wanted to do the fall class of 2021, for example, we are taking those right now. We're working through those. But very often will we take, the spring class of 2020, for example, if they wanted to come back and do clips today, we could do that. All we would need is the list of graduates and the link to the video, and we could produce that. So it's something that we can do before or after the ceremony with live events.
Yeah, just to answer that one, because Keith's based in America and I do.
That's true. This is in America. That's right. That's right.
So St. Andrews, we're doing their current cohort now of live clips of them walking across stage. The question around were there any complaints from the class of 2021? No, there weren't, because we're doing them for them anyway. And also for next year, in the first quarter of next year, we're doing another 2 years of 25th and 30th anniversaries for the next cohort, and those clips will be released in June, which is June when they actually graduated on the anniversary of their graduation. So St. Andrews do the full package with us. They do existing clips for today's graduates, but they also do the heritage clips on a rolling basis of the 25th and 30th anniversary. Because of the success of this campaign, they're doing another 2 cohorts.
Excellent. I see another question about obtaining video footage from that far back and being able to use it if you didn't do the filming at the time. So we were, I guess, lucky in the sense that St. Andrews had actually had that in their archives. A lot of universities do keep that. If you have an archives department in your library or in your marketing and production area, you can actually track down that footage. A lot of it has been digitized and placed on YouTube by archives offices or placed on servers on campus. If you, as a campus, did not provide that footage or grab an archive of that footage from your producer, you do have the option of reaching out to maybe the agency or the group that produced that. The likelihood of that still being available can be challenging from place to place. But if you have the original footage somewhere on campus, and it can be digitized, which in most cases it can, we could use that to produce clips.
Yeah, we a lot of universities have got the old footage in their archives, and most universities have that as their intellectual capital. The question around costs associated with the permission to use original companies actually in this scenario, we have a partnership agreement, StageClip, with First Sight Media, who film a lot of universities in the UK, but actually the footage was an old company that First Sight Media took over called Visions. Who some people who have been in the industry for a while will remember them. They got taken over by First Sight Media, but actually the capital was the intellectual capital was actually the universities, and actually most of the universities we deal with, that is the case, and we sign a clause with them that the intellectual capital of clips is also theirs. We've also had a number of other universities who were now in the process of doing heritage clips for similar reasons, maybe slightly different objectives, but they are also sort of follow that same standard. So hopefully that answers that question. In terms of the campaign cost, you okay if I answer that question, Keith?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I've got the cost per clip there in the chat for you. I went ahead and looked it up.
And it varies it depends on how much volume there is, because the more volume, the cheaper the cost is to produce. But that can range from anything from about £2.50 a clip up to £4 a clip for small cohorts, something like that. We have quite a lot of universities that have multi-year contracts with us, and each year typically takes off about 10% off the cost. So that, and obviously if you want to get in touch with us for any more detail, for quotes, etc., please feel free, and then we can provide you with details on costings for your institutions.
Excellent. And I do see in the chat that we had some issues with the mic volume, so hopefully that is better now, but if not, just let us know. All right, so let me see if we had any other questions before we move forward. We talked about costs associated with obtaining permission from the original companies who did the filming. I think Mark spoke to that. In most cases, that is the intellectual property of the university already. So whenever you are contracting that agency to film your graduation, in most cases, you're negotiating that becomes your property. So we did not have any costs associated with that with St. Andrews. We've not, to my knowledge, had any cost associated with that with any of our clients for current clips either. All right.
Sorry, just Keith, sorry to interrupt. There's just two nuances here. One was the second to last question on the third to last question on the Q&A. Was St. Andrews only interested in celebrating these two specific? This was a pilot for the first time, so they were only wanted to do those 2 years. As I mentioned, they'll be doing the next couple of years. In the first quarter of next year, we're going to be working with them to produce those. And I did, I'm one of those individuals, to the final question here, that other alumni might expect the same with their anniversaries coming up. I can't wait until it gets to my cohort, because I really, I've just got photos of graduating from St. Andrews, but I'd love to be able to show my kids the clips, now that I'm married and got children, and show them, kind of me graduating at university. And that's the feedback we get from a lot of individuals, that they want to keep their clips forever. They can download them, they can share them, they can relive the moment of them graduating. And typically they were happy times, people, when they go to university. So there were people that then got in touch from other year groups saying, can I get my clip? There was definitely that request coming through to answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one additional piece to that is that they did include in a lot of their materials that if you were not in that class of 91 or 96 and you were interested in getting a clip for your class, that you could reach out and let them know. So that was one way that they were trying to generate feedback to understand sort of what the demand was for additional campaigns as well, which was high. It was very good. Another question about phone numbers. So using phone calls or texts to sort of help spread the word. I don't know that we used it in this particular campaign. We do have other schools, other clients that we work with who use texting as part of that campaign delivery for their clips. And it is definitely a tactic that is sort of used on a case-by-case basis if the school has the technology or desires to do that. That's part of the reach out.
And also with the technology, sorry, the last question here that's connected to that. Yeah. We do events outside of graduations as well. It's not, we do corporate events and so on as well. So any sort of mass participation event where you've got people doing big things, we do that as well.
We'll actually be producing for this conference. We're actually producing clips for our award winners here in the coming days as well. So you'll be able to see those as we go along. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead because we've got about 12 minutes left. So we'll finish up our presentation. We'll take some more questions here at the end. So the alumni feedback, we got the quantitative feedback, obviously, in the metrics, but we were really interested in the qualitative feedback as well. So we got some really excellent responses and as we mentioned, unexpected responses from our alumni as we went through this. Some of our favorites here were, it took me by complete surprise and it was wonderful to watch 25 years on. We love that they shared the link with several of their friends from St. Andrews who graduated in that same year. So I think some of them will actually be in touch to request their clips, and very grateful and touched by this gesture. So a lot of goodwill towards the university, a lot of affinity towards the university. And that sort of word of mouth sharing is okay, I know other people who graduated in 91 or 96. Let me go and reach out to them to make sure that they know. And so that continued to expand the reach of the campaign beyond what St. Andrews was able to do on their own platforms. Another that said, I didn't even know that there had been a recording, right? And as a result of the clip, I reached out to old classmates on Facebook, a site that they rarely visit, and this has led to some of them arranging to meet again. So just a simple clip was able to actually start reconnecting alumni together and getting them to meet up in person to re-engage with the university sort of as that central connecting point and relationship building point, which is, again, that's great emotional capital for the university. And then finally, this is always a great one. They said, I should increase my donation to the foundation next year. All of my friends agreed that their universities would never do anything so cool, which was one of our favorites as well. So I'm very excited about the clip. And then actually, mentioned that they wanted to increase their donations. So that's always a happy result of any campaign that we put forward. So I'm going to speak real quickly to the learnings. Working with David Williams and the team at St. Andrews, we actually do a debrief with all of our clients after the ceremony to make sure that they understand all of the metrics, that they understand exactly how the campaign performed compared to their goals. But we also use that as an opportunity to learn. So to share things that maybe we've learned from other clients through the process with them for the next time, and to learn from them to say, okay, what was unexpected? What did you learn? How can we improve the product moving forward? We actually got 6 key findings out of this process. Actually 7, because we had one that was really interesting. So one of the unanticipated pieces of this is that 25 to 30 years on, many of the alumni had passed away and maybe weren't, the university had not been notified. And so some of their parents, partners, or children who still had access to those alumni emails were still monitoring their inboxes and actually responded back to the Alumni Association to let them know that their relatives had passed. But we're also very touched that they had this artifact of their loved one graduating from college. And again, many of them didn't know that the clips existed or that the video existed. So it was another very emotional touch point and piece of capital for the university as well, to be able to provide those families with those memories. And so that was a huge impact that no one really expected coming into this. And also they received, as Mark mentioned, you reach out to fellow alums of that class to let them know that their clip's available. Many alumni did that as well if they knew that a classmate's family was not maybe in access to their email box, but to be able to say, I'd like to request David's clip to send over to his family. And so lots of emotional impact and capital generated through this campaign in that way. Other learnings to take forward were to make sure that this is completely connected with other annual giving campaigns. So to not only do the clip as part of reunion or homecoming celebrations, but to also include it in annual giving campaigns. So to reach out to key donors or to engage new donors in a new campaign, to include that clip as a piece of collateral in the campaign. 2 is to do a link to the full ceremony video. So if you wanted to see the full ceremony with the speakers, with the presentations, with the alma mater, all of the fun events that you get with the full ceremony, to allow your alumni to go back and watch the full ceremony somewhere online. That is depending on the school and GDPR, whether you're in the US, the UK, or the EU, there may be issues with consent that you want to explore, and we're happy to explore those with you. We've done a lot of that research to make sure that that can't be posted publicly, but the university did get a lot of requests for that. 3 is to do bespoke forms to improve data collection and permissions. So we spoke a little bit about permissions and how they gathered permissions from alumni to use their materials and to gather their contact. We worked through sort of the forms that St. Andrews already had, but one of the ideas was to put together additional forms with this campaign that would very specifically collect certain data points and update permissions for things like using digital media that maybe they hadn't considered before. So it's one thing we're considering for the next time around. Leveraging your CRM and retargeting, so on the marketing side, to maximize results. So not only using email, social media, phone calls, print mail, but to use automated email marketing, so drip campaigns, this sort of things, as well as retargeting ads and emails and sort of advertising to maximize results. So if someone has received their email but they haven't opened it, or they've opened it but they haven't downloaded their clip, continuing to engage them through marketing automation to do that. Utilizing StageClip's user-generated content feature. This is a feature that we used extensively in our virtual graduation product in 2020 and 2021. And we continue to use it in our hybrid projects for schools where they have their on-stage moment, but the student can actually upload their own content, a video message, where they can thank family or friends, or they can leave an audio message or a quote or a photo, something to put their own personal touch on their clip. And so that is a feature that already exists. It's not one that we used in the Heritage Clips, but it's one that we could use moving forward. So to allow the alums, as they get their clip, to say, oh, I'd love to upload a message to include with this, and then regenerate their clip with their message. And then finally, the idea was used to put together prospect development for development officers. So as you're going to engage a new prospect or a new development target for donations to the school, to be able to actually build up a clip library, be able to provide them with a clip of their graduation as you go to engage them with the prospect development, which we thought was a very interesting approach that we had not considered going into it. So again, lots of learnings, lots of great opportunities through this campaign. We're going to go along here. Robert Fleming, who's the director of development at St. Andrews, said, we all know about the friendship groups that are created by the university experience, and it's always been the dream of alumni relations to create the kind of compelling content and experiences that make alumni want to tell each other about what's going on and to draw them back to re-engagement with the institution. But this is the first program he's seen that predictably and measurably delivers on that potential by getting into those WhatsApp friendship groups that are hard to get into, right? It's not like LinkedIn or Facebook that you can do. It's personal, it's private. And doing that with unique and highly personalized and shareable content. And so they were very pleased with the campaign. It met their goals. We are excited to go with that. We are going to answer some questions, but I do just want to cover a little bit of what else we do. We've talked a little bit about our other products. Obviously, Alumni Heritage Clips is what we did with St. Andrews. We, as a company, specialize in personalized recognition clips. As you can see, sort of in our examples here, we can do the onstage moment for any celebration, any recognition moment. We can also do the user-generated content, as you see here with our example from Florida International University, where they can upload their photo and quotes, anything else that they want to put in there to fully customize and even further personalize the clip as they receive that. We also do graduate and alumni surveys. So as part of receiving the clip, we can actually put a survey on the front end as almost like a gateway to get to your survey, to get to your clip. And on average, universities see over 70% completion rates. So students will, for current graduations, will typically be asked, what is your new address that you're moving to? Is there a new email address outside of your school address that you're going to be using? Do you have a job yet? Where are you going to be working? All of those questions that are really helpful for career centers, for outcomes, for alumni offices, for understanding prospect development and maintaining contact information. We can actually do that for current ceremonies. We also sort of did that in a way for this Heritage Clip project to be able to track that information. And so that is another component of what we offer. And so here's our contact information. I'm going to leave that slide up as we do our Q&A. If you have any questions, please reach out. Mark and our CEO, Rupert, actually cover our European territory for sales and for lead development. So if you have any questions, please contact Mark. You can also find our website at stageclip.com. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the questions. Mark, you see anything you want to start with?
Yeah, there's a couple that we haven't answered. Just one thing that is worth saying: we are a UK business, so we are, a UK business. I'm from the UK. Rupert, my business partner, is also from the UK. And we have our team in the UK, but we also have another business in America, which Keith is very much leading and part of. So just it's in terms of a couple of questions. One was a return on investment for universities. I don't know the exact return on investment for the St. Andrews one. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but typically the amount, the cost that it costs to do it, you get a 200% return on investment. A lot of that's done on the level of marketing that you achieve. So if you were to pay for the level of marketing you receive through what we do in the sharing versus what you'd pay on Facebook for that level of marketing, you would have a 200% return versus what you'd pay on Facebook, to put it. Hopefully that's not too complicated way of saying it. We've also had marketing departments at universities say to us that they've never experienced such targeted marketing to the right people before, because what you do is you have students sharing branded video of the university to friends, family, cousins, etc., who are then going to go through the same process of looking at university, so it reinforces the brand quite significantly. But the returns, both in terms of also the data you're getting, if you did a survey, we get somewhere between 65 and 85% submission rates, which are really, really high. There's a value, obviously, that you put on that, but very happy to work through, your objectives and what you want to achieve and the sorts of things we get and what we see with you after the session. Phone numbers, we've already asked for that one.
I think we've covered most of them,
them,
right? Yeah, the whole video. I think we discussed a little bit about the university wanted to provide the whole video later on for a next iteration of that. And I think we're getting the word to wrap. Mark and I will be in our booth, virtual booth, after the session here. So if you have any other questions, please come and chat with us. But thank you for taking the time to attend this morning, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, everybody.